Photoshop Project 3 Museum Image Correction Stage 2 Correcting Lighting Problems. Make sure you read the section at the top of page 175. Highlights are the areas that are the lightest in the image. Shadows are the darkest areas. Midtones lie in between. Don't confuse specular highlights with other highlights. They're something different. Read that section. We're going to work on correcting problems with brightness and contrast. We're working with the file Basil. It's a JPEG, and the image has an overall dark feeling. It's probably caused by poor lighting when the image was taken, or it was underexposed. Either way, the brightness contrast adjustment can help to correct this problem. You can choose Image Adjustments, Brightness Contrast. Drag the brightness slider to approximately 35, or type it in. That is going to increase the overall brightness, and immediately you're going to see that there's a difference. And then take the contrast slider up to about 15, about half of what you've done. And did you see how everything just kind of pops? You turn off the preview. There it is. Select OK to apply the change. Save this file as they say to do it as a native Photoshop file. Go ahead and resave this as a JPEG. Make this Basil fixed with your initials and close that file and continue to the next exercise. In this section, using the drachma file, we're going to correct contrast and tonal range with levels. The tonal range is the amount of variation between the lightest highlights and the darkest shadows. A grayscale image can have 256 possible shades of gray. Open your histogram panel, go to Window, Histogram, and choose Expanded View from the Options menu. Make sure you read the section number 2 on page 177, which is going to explain what all of this stuff means. We're looking right now at a median of 34, which means this is a very dark image. In the histogram panel, change the channel menu to RGB. If there's a warning icon in the upper right corner, click on it to reset the cache. Every time you zoom in or out of an image, Photoshop stores the results of the display in a cache. The image you're looking at on the histogram often doesn't match the results on the drive. So there's a warning icon that shows that there's a disconnect in there, and if you click the icon, it resets the image and rereads the cache. Next, go to Image and select Adjustments, Levels. Make sure Preview is checked, and you're going to see a histogram that looks like this one, but it's got an output level at the bottom with a set of sliders. You've also got sliders up here right below the histogram itself. The input sliders correspond to the tonal range of the image. Any pixels that exist to the left of the input shadow sliders are reproduced as solid black, and anything from the right is going to be white. Move your input shadow slider to the right until it touches the left edge of the curve. So you see it's right here, it's all the way on this side. We're going to bring that in to where the curve just starts. You can see there's some changes that are happening over here. Now take the highlight slider and move that over to just about where that curve starts or ends, depending on which way you're looking at it. Those two adjustments took advantage of all the 256 possible tones that you should have available. And you can see how the histogram over here has made some changes. The next thing we're going to do is change the input gamma slider, which is the one in the middle, and we're going to slide that to the left until the middle box reads approximately 1.35. Look at how that's changing the tonal qualities. We're getting a better image. It's brightening everything, and you're getting to see the details coming out. That gamma slider controls the proportion of darker tones to lighter tones. If you increase gamma, you increase the proportion of lighter grays. If you decrease gamma, you extend the tonal range of darker shades. By dragging the input gamma slider, we've extended the range between the midtone and the highlights. We've got greater contrast and more detail. If you need to decrease the contrast, then you're going to adjust these output sliders. The method compresses the range of tones, forcing all the areas into a smaller tonal range. Areas originally set to 0 are reproduced as the value of the output shadow slider, and areas originally set to 255 are the values of the output highlight slider. This shows a really good range on here. We can see the details very well. We're going to say OK to this, and I would like you then to save this as Drachma Fixed with your initials. Save this as the JPEG again rather than the Photoshop file so that we have smaller files to send. In this section we are going to correct lighting problems using the exposure adjustment. Your Vases file should be open. Most images are going to be either underexposed or overexposed, and we're going to use the exposure adjustment to make a correction. We're going to go to Image Adjustments and select Exposure. Selecting the white eyedropper, we're going to click on the white area of the vase to set the white point. This is going to adjust the luminance without changing any of the color. Next, drag the gamma correction slider to the left to extend the midtone range, which increases contrast and brings out the detail in the image. Drag the offset slider very slightly to the left to add some detail back into the midtones and shadows. The white point remains unaffected, but all the other pixels are adjusted. Click OK to finalize the adjustment, and then save this file as Vases Fixed, your initials, as a JPEG.